OMG Nation, I am already missing that Florida weather, that nice 85 degrees. Man, can you believe it was 85 degrees when I was in Florida and it was in the 40s in Franklin, Tennessee? Well, now I'm back in Franklin and we're looking at about 58 right now. And I'm headed over to an officers meeting, so I can't take you guys inside with me to the officers meeting, but what I'll do is I will fill you guys in, because I told you when I went to Florida I was going to fill you guys in on the fiasco that I experienced with my rental car company. Well, I wanted to make sure that I put it all down on paper, and the reason I wanted to make sure I put it all down on paper is so I didn't embellish or exaggerate, so I could just tell you exactly what happened and let you guys be the judge. You tell me. I thought it was pretty crappy what these guys did, but what I'll do is I'll go into this haul chapter meeting, so I'll pick up back in my garage. I have a question for you. So is anybody that's watching, or any of you guys experiencing snow right now? Is this thing on? Is it on? Okay, yeah, it's on. Are any of you guys experiencing snow right now? Is it snowing wherever you live? And if it is, tell me where it's snowing at, because I was looking at the weather app today and I saw that it was snowing some places, and I was like, what, are you kidding me? So let me know about the snow. Let's go. I also had a couple of folks ask me exactly what was I doing down there, and let's just say it was a business trip that involved the channel, and I can't give you guys too much information about it right now because I'm trying to work something out to see if I can get it. It's not with the Harley dealership down there. Moonshine Harley Davidson is my dealership, so it has nothing to do with Alligator Alley. It had something to do with something else that didn't even make it on the channel, and something that I'm not ready to talk about just yet. I know, guys. Some of you are going, just tell us, come on. I don't want to tell you just yet because I'm not even sure it's going to happen. So if it doesn't happen, then we'll just pretend like this never happened. And for those of you playing a drinking game, that's one shot. I just laughed. And there's another. Oh, man. Brother, how about two? I'm headed over to Miller's Ale House. Oh, hey, go ahead. Switch lanes, then come back. Don't worry. I'll pay attention for you. Jeez Louise, that just kind of made me jump out of my seat right there. I got a text message, and what are you doing? And it just went off in my ear, and it sounded like a horn going. I thought somebody was hitting their horn. I need to remove that text message because I don't need that going off in my ear while I'm riding the motorcycle inside of my helmet, because that kind of freaked me out a little bit. All right, so there's Miller's. Let me get parked and run in real quick. Okay, like I told you guys, I'm going inside for the officers meeting, the newly named Moonshine chapter. Right here in Franklin, Tennessee. We're out of Moonshine Harley Davidson, right here in Franklin, Tennessee. But I'm gonna go inside. I cannot take you guys with me. And was that Dallas? I could have sworn I saw Dallas. No, maybe it wasn't Dallas. All right, I'm gonna go inside and I'll pick back up later. OMG Nation, it's day number 2. When I left the officers meeting last night, I talked to Jerry, and I had a conversation afterwards. Me and the webmaster, who shall not be named, had a little conversation afterwards, and we were just kind of discussing what's going on with the future, for future events and writing events for the Hog chapter, and ways to keep everybody informed. So I just kind of forgot to turn on the camera again and start recording. Well, I promised you guys that I was going to let you in on the rental car fiasco. So I went to South Florida last weekend, and you guys saw that video. If you haven't seen that video, I'll put it up. Where does it end up coming? I think it ends up coming on this side right here. If not, it's going to be on one of the sides. It'll be up here or it'll be over here. So you can watch that video after this video. I rented a car from a place called Green Motion. But let me give you the full story. I rented a car through a third-party app. I have used this third-party app, and it was Hotels.com. I'll just tell you that. It was Hotels.com. I'll just tell you guys that. I've used those guys many times to get rooms in the past and get a hotel, and I've never had any issues. Well, there was another insurance company where they offered insurance on the car rental that I was going to rent. I thought, well, sure. I absolutely want to have extra insurance or insurance on a rental car. That way, if something were to happen, I don't have to pay for the damages, and it does not go, against my insurance at all. Well, when I get to, I have my notes right here so I won't mess anything up. When I get to, I flew in at Fort Lauderdale Airport. When I get there, a shuttle takes me to the off-site rental car place called Green Motion. Well, I get in there and it's one other person in front of me, and I have about there's 2 people in there total that seem to be working behind the counter. And then there's one guy that seems to be kind of floating around. Maybe, I don't know if he was bringing out cars to people or what, but he was floating around. Well, I sit there for about maybe 10 minutes. No big deal. I don't have a problem waiting a few minutes. And I get there, and the lady who was the customer service representative for this company called Green Motion. Now, guys, this is my experience. And I want to tell you exactly what happened to me. And I felt like it was important that I just didn't tell you when I was still kind of fired up about it. I wanted to put it on paper so I could make sure that it was correct. And I didn't embellish accidentally. And I just told you the facts of what happened. The lady starts to check me in, and this lady is a very low talker. And every time she says there's a plastic partition that they just set up that's kind of on the counter like this, just setting up. And it's got a little cutout where you could slide stuff underneath it. But when you slide stuff underneath it, it actually goes into the top of the computer screen. So you have to actually slide stuff in and then push it up where she can reach down and grab it. Well, she's handing me stuff through there, and she keeps saying stuff to me. And I say, I'm sorry, I can't hear you. What did you say? And I'm being extremely nice. I'm not irritated or anything at this point. And she repeats herself at the same level of conversation, which to me sounded like, I said, ma'am, I'm sorry, I'm having trouble understanding you. Can you please speak up? Well, apparently that bothered her because she just stared at me. And I just kind of looked at her and smiled a little bit. And then she repeats exactly whatever it was that she said again. And I think it was even quieter at that point. And so by this point, I moved my head around the partition. I said, ma'am, I just cannot hear you. I said, I'm sorry. Maybe my ears are whacked out from the flight or something. Well, then I finally understand that she tells me, hey, do you want to buy insurance? And I said, I have insurance. I purchased insurance already when I signed up for my rental car. No, I'm looking at that insurance. It's not adequate enough. And I said, okay. And she said, you bought it from a third-party site. I said, okay, that's fine. She goes, you can either purchase our insurance, and she populates up a $92 charge on the little screen. And she said, go ahead and sign here. And I said, well, hold on a second. I said, I purchase insurance. What's not adequate about it? And then she starts rattling off a bunch of stuff. And then she says, it was in your terms and conditions. And I said, well, ma'am, I said, well, hold on a second. I said, I just don't understand why this isn't adequate. I assumed that it was. It's not. Go ahead and pay for your insurance, and this will be adequate. And I said, well, I'll just use my own. And she goes, well, your own's probably not adequate enough either. Go ahead and buy this. And then at that point, I started to feel like, wait a second. This is kind of one of those gotcha things where they get you in, they want to get an extra $100 out of you, and they've made a rule or stipulation that if your insurance doesn't meet this qualification, you need to purchase more. Well, I have rented cars all over the place, everywhere, and I have never had an issue with my insurance, my personal insurance, being inadequate. And sometimes
it's like, you know what, I'll buy the extra insurance. But I kind of felt like that this lady was just trying to get the extra money out of me, you know, almost $100. And I said, well, ma'am, and every time I would ask her to explain something to me about it, she would say, it's in your terms and conditions. And then she starts getting frustrated. And I'm frustrated, but I'm trying to contain my frustration and not say anything that would just get them mad, and then them say, well, you can't rent anything from here, see you, bye. And then all of a sudden I got to figure out how in the heck I'm going to get to my hotel room. Well, I told the lady, I said, well, I tell you what, how do we find out if my insurance is adequate enough? Well, she said, you've got to have an insurance declaration, and I've got to see that, and then if you don't have it, and she starts talking to me like, I don't have this. And she said, so just go ahead and pay. And she tells me to pay again. And I said, well, hold on a second. Let me pull up my insurance app and see what I have. Well, I've got to see the declaration page. And again, all of this is low talking that she's doing. So anytime a situation happens like this to me, I try to step outside of myself and say, okay, Ryan, are you making a big deal out of something? Is there something that you can do differently? Have you made a mistake? Well, I don't even recall when I went through the third-party site them saying, here are the terms and conditions. I don't remember a button anywhere for that. They just basically said, here is where you can get your rental car from. Do you agree? And I said, yeah, boom, that'll work. You know, so I never saw anything that I can remember that stated their terms and conditions and their insurance parameters, what they needed, and their levels of insurance, what they needed. This lady, hold on, let me see where I'm at so I don't lose myself here. She's being condescending and rude, and zero smiles on her face. Her lack of professionalism and her lack of customer service. Let's just say this: if I'm going to rate her customer service on a scale from 1 to 10, and this is not an exaggeration, she got a 2 for customer service and professionalism. If I owned that company and I saw her not engaging and not helping then the customer, not helping the customer to thoroughly understand, because at this point I'm a paid customer. I have already paid for my rental car. So I'm going there because I paid for it all in advance. I'm going there under the assumption that I'm grabbing the keys, we're going to do a walk around the car, and I'm leaving. We finally get to the point where she looks at me and she says, well, you can't have the car unless you buy this insurance. And I said, okay, I see where this is going. So at this point, I'm stuck. I said, I see where this is going. I said, look, I do not want this insurance right here. I do not want it. And the only reason that I am paying for this is because I need this car to get out of here. But I do not want it. I said, I want to let you know that. She goes, well, you can't have the car unless you buy it. Okay, fine. I told her, I said, this is BS. I just want to let you know, I think it's BS. And I think you guys are scamming me. And she just looks at me. Zero expression on her face. No, hey, no, we're not. Let me help you to understand it. Nothing. So another guy comes up and he's standing beside me. And he doesn't say anything. And I turn and I look at him and he's got keys in his hand. I said, do you have my car? And he goes, yeah. So we walk out. We walk out to the car. He said, I've already taken pictures of the car. And I said, where is it? And he said, so to document the condition of the car. I said, where is it? And he says, right over there. I said, the red car? And he goes, yes. I said, the red Toyota Corolla? He goes, yes. I said, all right. I walk over and I said, hey, just so you know, I'm going to take pictures of the car and video as well to document the car. I want you to understand that. And he looked at me. He just glanced up at me and walks away. He has handed me the keys at that point. So let me show you this quick little walk around on this red Toyota Corolla. This thing was scratched up, beat up, flakes of paint coming off of it. So let me show you the car. All right, so I'm picking up here at Remotion. Dent here, scratches here,
chips there, a bunch of chips on the door. Dent here, dent there, a bunch of scratches on the back. Scratches underneath this. There's scratches all over the hood right here. Scratches here, a bunch of paint chips here, a bunch of paint chips here, paint chips, scratches, paint chips, all on the back right here. All this paint chips right here. So this is, they just gave me the keys over here at Green Motion right here. So if they try to lie, which I honestly believe that they might, just from the interaction that I just had with them. They're starting the car up for the first time. So let's take a look at the inside real quick. Dashboard. Just some wear. There's some, that's torn right there. Some scratches on the inside. Looks like this is torn right here. This is all torn up. Man, this car is pretty beat up. Okay, these are all torn up too. These mats are all torn up. All right. Okay. Make sure that there wasn't something over here. Okay, there's just stains in the seats, stains back here in this seat. All right.
All right. Now that you guys saw the car, here's the thing. I don't care. I don't care if it was a little bitty. I knew it was a small car because I was going the cheap route. I don't even care if it was something that looks like a little bitty mailbox. I just needed a car to get me from point A to point B. But I felt like at this point that these people had already lied to me. And that there's a good possibility that these folks might try to say that the damage that was already on the car, they were going to try to ding me for that. So I wanted to document it and document it well. I document the inside of the car like you saw. I documented the outside of the car like you saw. Why this car's still in their fleet, I don't know. Maybe because it's paid off and they're just making money out hand over fist off of it. I felt like that I just got scammed out of an extra $92. I get going down the interstate, and all of a sudden, I look down and I notice my low tire pressure light is on. I'm like, okay, well, I don't even know where I'm at. I'm on I-95. I'm doing the speed limit on I-95, and people are coming up on my rear end in South Florida like I'm doing 10 miles an hour. So I didn't know, okay, I need to really pay attention because I've got to pay attention to the navigation, I got to pay attention to the road, and I got to pay attention to these wild drivers around me. And everybody's doing, and I think the speed limit at one point was 65 and maybe at another point it was 70. I can promise you everybody on that interstate was doing about 10 or 15 miles an hour faster than the posted speed limit sign. I finally get off my exit, I pull into a gas station, and I go and I check the tire pressure. The tire pressure was between 26 PSI and 28 PSI on every single tire. And I was like, man, they didn't even check the tire pressure. That's pretty dangerous to send somebody out there with not just one tire that's low, but 4 tires that are low, and 4 tires that have a total of 2 different or 3 different pressures. I think 2 of them were 26, and the other 2 were between 26 and 28. So I spend money, my own money, not a lot, but still, I shouldn't have to. I spend a couple of bucks and get the tire pressures up to adequate. I look on the on the side of the tire wall and see what the PSI is, and I put it on that, and I fill them all up, all 4 of them. So then, after I finished my trip, I was down there for a little bit of personal stuff, and also some stuff for the channel as well. And again, just so you know, it has nothing to do with another dealership, but it has something to do with something that's beneficial for the channel that I just can't talk about right now. Hopefully, I'll let you guys know. Part 2 to this is I end up taking back the rental car to this place, Green Motion, again. Well, I show up at about 10 o'clock in the morning, and there's already 5 people ahead of me in line. 5 couples, maybe. And so I said, okay, and they were backed up so far that when I opened the door, I could step in, but I'm really, like, the door's directly behind me. Like, my vest right here is the door. And I thought, man, I'm just not going to stand right here. I'll just stand outside. So I stand outside for probably what's about, I don't know, 40 minutes before I make it two or three steps forward to get back into the door. Well, finally I get back into the door. And once I get back into the door, the lady that comes out right before I get back into the door is hot. I mean, she is mad and upset. And I was like, man. And she goes, these people are jokes, as she walks past me and the line that had come behind me. Because there had been another shuttle bus from the airport, I assume, that showed up, and they dropped off, you know, between 4 and 6 more people. So the line at this point is outside the building, and it's kind of curved around. And, and so I'm talking to these 2 dudes that live local. And I'm kind of telling them what happened to me. Well, once I actually get inside of the door, another lady, I hear her saying, I have insurance. I don't need to pay that. And I went, and so I start listening intently. And then the guy, so there was a rep here, which happened to be the same lady that helped me, not really. And then there was another guy down here, and this guy down here was arguing with them about extra insurance. And I went, oh my gosh, I feel like these folks are scamming everybody. I feel like that they've scammed me, for certain, and I feel like that these people are going through the exact same thing that I just went through. I believe it was an hour to maybe an hour and 10 minutes, maybe an hour and 20 minutes, where finally one of the guys comes out and he says, is there anybody dropping off? And I said, yeah, me. And he doesn't say, hey man, come with me. He goes, okay. And he keeps walking. And I go, do you want me to follow you? And he goes, yeah. I was like, holy smokes. None of these people that work here have any customer service skills. It would have been like, hey, I can take the next person in line who needs to drop off. Who is it? Oh, it's you, sir? Hey, follow me outside. So I thought, man, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to be super nice to this guy. And he said, I've got to take pictures of the car to document everything. I said, all right, that's good, man. I said, I'm trying to remember exactly how I said it. I said, that's good, man. I said, I took pictures too to document everything. And I just kind of did like that, you know, and just laughed. And he goes, huh. And then I was kind of trying to joke with him just a little bit. And I said, hey, tell me if you find any $100 bills in there, you'll send them back to me, right? And he goes, probably not, like that. Which, that's fine. He's just joking around, you know. And I thought, but man, I'm trying to get this guy to joke a little bit. And so I said, do I need to sign anything? No, you don't. I said, well, is there anything that I need to see to let me know that you guys are accepting the car and saying that it's fine? And he said, the car looks good. And I said, okay. I said, so everything's good? And he goes, yes. I said, all right. So I end up waiting probably another 20, 25 minutes for the shuttle bus to come back up and take me to the airport. Well, I ended up talking to this lady who was waiting there, and she was one of the people that was in front of me talking about that she probably would never use this company again. The two gentlemen that were directly behind me that lived local, they were showing up to rent a car. And at one point, those guys looked at me and they said, "Hey man, good luck. We're leaving. This place is," I mean, you know, these guys have zero sense of urgency that work here. And guys, here's the deal. I am not bashing this company in any way. I'm giving you the facts of what happened to me and what I saw happen to the people around. You know, you guys make your own decision. I haven't even looked them up, this Green Motion company. I haven't even looked them up to see what their ratings are on any of the review sites. But I do know that they've got one very bad rating, and that rating was from me. And I tried to make sure that I was pretty detailed about what happened to me. And I would think by now, it's been almost a week, I would think by now that somebody would have reached out, at least by email, and said, "Hey, we're sorry. We apologize that this happened, and what can we do?" You know, and the answer was, you can remove the charge that you guys charged me. You can tell me that you're going to work on your staff and tell them that, "Hey guys, you know, we're here to provide a service for customers, and we're here to be nice to customers." I feel like the customer service, and you guys let me know down in the comments, I feel like the customer service is a lost art these days. I want some of you guys that are entrepreneurs to let me know. If you have your own business, what's the most important thing to you? Is it customer service? Because I'm an entrepreneur as well. Customer service to me is most important because customer service builds clientele. You guys have heard of water cooler talk, right? Water cooler talk, if you're unfamiliar with it, it's what happens to me, like let's say in this situation, if I have a bad experience with a place of business, then I go to work the next day, by the water cooler, I talk to my colleagues and I tell 10 or 15 people. Well, today, I've told, look down in the number count of the views of this video, I've told this many people what's happened to me. There's some of you guys that are going to travel to a destination and you see that, hey, there's that place that OMG told me about. I don't want the same experience. I don't want bad customer service. I don't want to experience what he experienced. I'll just go somewhere else. I learned a lesson. You know, I'll never use that place again. Like I've told you guys before, Mrs. OMG, myself, and OMG Jr., we constantly go down to Florida. We love the warm weather down there. I find it troubling. You guys let me know in the comments what your thoughts are. I appreciate you watching today's episode. If you have not already, please hit the like button. Please consider subscribing to this channel and becoming a part of the OMG Nation. And remember, let's keep it old school. Thanks for watching, everyone.
Stall.
So guys, if you haven't watched the footage, then that won't be.
Say bye, Harley.
Bye, Harley.
Oh, this is recorded, by the way.
I didn't think it wasn't recorded.
Okay. Just checking.